54% of the adult people in the spectrum are unemployed.
Really?
Yes, they all have talent and they all really want to add value to companies.
So don't force people into this kind of one-size-fits-all, but look at what the individual needs.
It's also scientifically proved that if you have a neurodivergency in your team, productivity will grow.
What are some misconceptions for autistic individuals or in general neurodivergent?
Do you have some time? No, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Welcome to the Neurolympics podcast, brought to you by BrainsFirst, a company that helps you make better talent decisions powered by neuroscience. I'm Lucy, I'm the host of the Neurolympics podcast, and I myself have a background in psychology and applied neuroscience. And a very warm welcome to our guests today, Saskia and Ilja. It's a pleasure to have you both together on this episode today.
Thank you.
And I'm especially excited about our conversation because you have two different backgrounds and fields of expertise, but I think in practice, your missions and visions are quite similar. So excited for your insights. And let's go right into it. Why do we need to have this conversation today? What is the societal problem that you see with neurodivergence?
I think I will leave this one to Saskia first.
Well, there is a lot of preconception about autism and neurodivergence in society. And that makes that neurodivergent people have difficulties, for instance, finding and keeping a suitable job. 54% of the adult people in the spectrum are unemployed.
Really?
Yes, and I strongly believe that's not necessary because they have talent and they really, really, really want to add value to companies. So yes, we need to have this conversation.
We need to use the talent, I think, and I think that's the key part. Like, if we're talking about neurotypical, normal, or neurodivergent, we all differ from each other, and I think everybody has specific talents. They will thrive in specific contexts. To understand your talent and in which context it actually comes into play, that's a very important thing. And I think that's a good reason to have this conversation today.
For sure. And I think this fact that we are all different on a cognitive level and where we draw the line, right, where we're kind of atypical or typical, that's also something really difficult. And I think before or as a start of the conversation, it would be great to kind of define or clarify what neurodivergence is, but with especially autism, Saskia, since ITvitae works with autistic individuals.
Yes.
And also what it is not, because society, I think with the influence of the media and the portrayals from Hollywood, like the Rain Man example, they shape, I think, an image that is quite narrow and also misleading of what neurodivergent or autistic individuals are like. So that is, I think, a question to you. What is autism spectrum disorder and what is it not?
Yeah, it's a common noun for a set of behavioral characteristics, if I can say so. For instance, and it's a result of the way your brain processes information. That's, I think, the most important thing to explain. And the way your brain processes information results to the way you react on social processes, what your communication skills are, what your analytical skills are, how you process stimuli in the brain, those kinds of behavior and characteristics. And that is autism. And we always say to our candidates, your brain has a different operating system. So the majority of the world has Windows or Android as an operating system, and you have Linux. And is it better? No. Is it worse? No. It's different. But the result is that you sometimes act also differently. And because you are a minority, people don't understand why you behave like that.
So I like the analogy here. So
Yeah.
if we basically shape society, shape school, shape work like a Windows operating system, then the Linux people won't fit in.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Great picking up on it.
Yeah.
And I think that is, so the way society has shaped some practices and also the educational system, how it works. Why does it just not fit neurodivergent or autistic individuals? Like, how do they struggle, and why does this one size fits all approach? Why is it so difficult for these individuals?
Well, let me intervene for 1 second here. I think this kind of straitjacket approach where everybody needs to fit in a one size fits all, it never fits for anyone perfectly. The thing is, do you have the flexibility to adapt yourself to actually make it somewhat suitable for you? But I think you should look at all the individual differences there and tailor it to the individual needs. So don't force people into this kind of one size fits all, but look at what the individual needs. Well, that was just my brief interruption here, but let me give the word to you.
Yes,
really good. Thank you,
it's really
Ilja.
good, and you're absolutely right, because when you take a look at the school system, university in the Netherlands, every hour you have a different lecture on a different subject, and people in the spectrum most of the time like to go into a deep dive. So they learn differently because the brain works differently. So first of all, they want to know everything about one subject, and then they can go on to another. So for instance, if they learn how to speak French, neurotypical people start talking French as soon as they are able to order a beer or a glass of wine. And then they are very proud to say, look at me, I'm speaking French. But if you have an autistic brain, you first want to be able to read a complete book, speak full sentences, know how the grammar works, know at least a couple of thousand words, and then you start speaking French. And this is not how the school system is accommodated. We also have big groups of people together, so it's very crowded. It's not really structured. You have to find out a lot by yourself. Most of the time, when you're 18, 90 years old, you go to university. It's a big change of life, so it's a life-changing event. And if that all comes together, people in the spectrum really have difficulties finding their way.
Well, I can already see that happening at primary school, where you, for example, have a verbal group instruction, and then you need to jump into the work, and then you're working for 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, then do something completely different again. Well, maybe you would like some people to keep working for 90 minutes or 2 hours on the same topic.
And that is for, autistic individuals. But as you say, Ilja, we're all different. That's also what we explore with BrainsFirst, right? That, for example, the needs that I have in the workplace now, or that you two have, they probably differ. And for autistic individuals, and it's also spectrum, I would also like to throw in the question, how does the spectrum manifest itself? So where do we see the differences maybe in traits? But I think the impact is just even a bit bigger, right? On the behavior and on the psychological effects. But maybe before we move forward, how does the diversity of the traits come about? Like there's some similarities, right?
Are they, like the question would be, are they all alike to each other, or do you also see diversity among people on the spectrum?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, now I understand. Thanks. No problem. When we often I say, if you know one individual on the spectrum, congratulations, you know one. And that doesn't mean that you know everybody, because they all differ. Some people have difficulties with processing stimuli. Some people like to have people around. Some are really good in social interaction. Others are not. Some have hyperfocus. Others don't. Some like parties. Others don't. So it's just like everybody else.
There's as much diversity compared to neurotypical people in that respect.
The way
seems like it.
I see it, and that's true. Yeah.
What are the effects on the psychological and behavioral level that you see if we do try to force these individuals into the existing or traditional way of doing things?
Well, I think evidently, if it doesn't fit, then you get 54% unemployment rates. So in that sense, dropouts are more common in, if you're not neurotypical, but even for neurotypical people, you can observe dropouts because it just doesn't fit. Or if you are forced into a different organization, you leave the organization because it's not tailored to your individual needs.
You get stuck. You drop out, or you get stuck. When you try to force people into something that doesn't fit, you get stress reaction, and stress means more stimuli. More stimuli is more stress. Your filter doesn't work, so you completely freeze. And you are not able to express your talents and use your talents in the way you should use it.
I actually listened to a podcast of an MIT professor, so that's a university in the US, who is doing a lot of research in the field of neurodiversity, neurodivergence, and he grew up being diagnosed with ADHD and on the autism spectrum disorder himself. And he said something that really resonated with me, because he said growing up, he always felt very, very exhausted and like just really tired. But actually not by his condition, let's say, but by self-monitoring. How do I fit in? Why am I different? And making sense of that and realizing, I'm just not as everyone else is. And why do I not perform that way? And I thought this was, it really stuck with me, because I think how we organize society, we make it even harder when it's already hard,
Absolutely.
So,
People suffer the most from colleagues and students that really try to fit you in, meeting the standards. And that takes so much energy, and it's not necessary. Why do we all have to start at 8:30? Why do we have to organize a stand-up meeting at 9? Why do we all need to go to lunch after two hard meetings? While deep in your heart, you just want to grab your noise-canceling headphone and go for a walk outside by your own, just by yourself. Why does society expect you to join, expect you to be on that specific time, be social?
Right. So it's like what you need versus the social norms, or what is expected. And these are like, most commonly, they are informal kind of agreements, right? So there's not something formal in place on how to do it. You just need to have a feel for it and then go with the flow into the system.
And that thing, you just say it right, that having the feel for it lacks the people in the spectrum, because they need rules, if then else.
Right.
And social processes are not captured in rules. They are not clear, transparent.
True.
So people in the spectrum always need to analyze the social processes.
Right.
Nothing goes as it goes, because they
So,
have to think about everything.
we're talking about cultural fit.
Yeah.
This is something that is quite popular, right?
Yeah.
Are you a cultural fit to this organization? That makes it actually quite difficult if you would look for somebody who is a cultural fit. You actually need to specify it in formal rules, right?
Yes.
Completely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that is also a great transition to your work at ITvitae, because we're a big fan. You do an amazing job with ITvitae.
Thank you.
And we want to know and give you room here on the podcast. How do you help autistic individuals who do not fit this this traditional system? Like, what is the mission of ITvitae?
Well, the mission, the real mission, is that we are not needed anymore in a few years. But I think that's a bit of a, how do you say that, mission impossible. But I keep on dreaming. In the meantime, our mission is to educate our candidates, and 90% of them are school dropouts. Highly intelligent. A lot of them also are high gifted, but still they are school dropouts. And we educate them to become an IT specialist. And afterwards we support them finding a regular, sustainable, suitable job in IT. And for the last 11 years, we started 11 years ago. We already helped more than 600 candidates finding a suitable job. That's what we do.
But I guess you also need to educate the employers to focus on like the key qualities, but also like what to take into consideration, or like coping manual, maybe. I don't know where that's the right word, but what to ask, what to focus on, which talents to address, and what would actually, I don't know how to say this, like maybe these formal rules or something like.
We do a lot of missionary work. Let's say it that way. We inform and inspire our customers just to look differently to people, and recruit differently, select another way. Do the job interviews another way. And we have one rule that we learn our customers: just be noisy. Just ask.
What you mean?
But ask.
Ask.
Just ask. How does your brain work? What do you need? Why do you behave like this? What suits you? I see you are a bit tired. Explain.
So show genuine interest.
Yes.
And give the room for the individuals to also speak up and show what their needs are.
Yes, and that's what we also learn our candidates, of course. We try to give them a self-confidence, because their whole life they are different. They perhaps are bullied at school. They are school dropouts. That does something with your self-confidence. Even though you have an IQ of 140 or something like that, that's not always easy. So we give them a bit of self-confidence, and we learn them how to explain, we learn them that they need to explain how the brain works, and just express what they need. And how they like working together, and that's what we do. The same thing on the customer side.
And are the companies really open to it? How do they react or respond to your work? And
we luckily have a lot of customers that are really neuro-inclusive, as we say, that open the doors for our candidates. And we experienced that once they hired one candidate, then they come back for the second and the third. And so that makes me very happy. But there's still a lot to do, because there are still a lot of people standing on the sideline, and a lot of companies that don't know yet how to work with neurodivergent people.
Yeah, because what are some of the common misconceptions that people have for autistic individuals or in general neurodivergent.
Do you have some time? No, just of course. No. That's a joke. That's a joke. People in the spectrum do have more sick leave hours, or they cannot communicate. They don't like parties. They can only work in a structured environment. They can only do repeatable work. They don't have humor. That kind of.
So this is all not true.
No, they do have humor, but they have they people in the spectrum most of the time take things you say literally, and so if you have, how do you say that? If you play with words, then they don't understand because they take it literally. So they do have humor, but sometimes they have difficulties trying to understand, and then they take a step back, which can mean that they are not social, they don't have humor, but that's not true. They just try to understand what's happening.
And in the trainings, I think it's also a question people are very interested about in the trainings. How does it look like? How do you train the autistic individuals to? Is it partly also trying to accommodate them with certain ways of how they can fit into an organization,
tactics
or
strategies?
Sometimes what we don't do is train them how to fit or how to meet the standard, because they are not going to meet the standard. They are going to be themselves. So we train them how to stay with yourself, know your strengths, and if you let people do the things they are good at, then they accelerate. And that's merely what we do.
So I think that's to be a bit of a natural bridge to talents and strengths, because we typically see that people widely differ from each other, also in their strengths and also in their potential pitfalls. Like, what are the key strengths that you see commonly, or and again here there's still a lot of diversity, but what are common strengths that you typically observe?
One of the strengths is the analytical skills. People in the spectrum think differently, look differently. So for instance, when you have data analytics,
they really loves that.
Yeah, you love it.
I love it.
They really see different patterns. They just take a different look, and that's why they add value to a team.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a very visual thinker. Ilja knows this, and I just had this picture in mind how they see patterns or ways that typical individuals would not see. So a whole different world, a whole different view on the world.
Yes, and it strengthens your team. For instance, when they like things being clear. So, for instance, when you are building an IT system, you work in a team, you start asking questions, and neurotypical people at some point think, okay, it's enough. The rest I will look up, and I just start working. And people in the spectrum just keep on asking until it's perfectly clear. So it's 0 or 1, it's black or white, and not gray. And that's a very good habit in IT.
Right. If you want to build a system that will last for years, you actually need to have everything right from the start.
Yes. Yeah. And they also keep asking, okay, but what's the priority? You give me 3 assignments today. What's the most important one? And what time do I have to deliver? So it's agile surroundings, for instance. Companies working with agile processes is perfectly for people in the spectrum, because it's small assignments, a priority setting, how do you say that? They talk with each other a lot, leveling, and that's really good for them.
So when the goal is not clear or the steps towards the goal are not clear,
They get lost.
They get lost,
Yes.
and they will start asking questions, or
well, we train them start asking questions.
Right.
Don't get lost.
So the be noisy part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So it's a two-way interaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
They get a job coach the first 1.5 years when they start working. We offer them a job coach that stands besides them, and all kinds of situations that occur, they can talk about with a job coach. And then after 1.5 years, you see that most of the candidates are able to
be noisy.
Be noisy.
Yeah, but it's especially the customers that need to be noisy. Yeah, the neurotypical colleagues, they need to be noisy. They need to ask.
Yeah. And I think that shapes also this culture of openness and acceptance and showing, as I said, interest, and just I think it comes down to giving the space then. Yeah. And I can imagine, and that's also what you say, that you train these individuals to be especially just confident in themselves and believe in their strengths. Yes. I think that is something that they typically don't realize, because they are talked down by the system, or just have to always look to the left and to the right. Am I doing things the way that my surrounding wants me to do?
Yes.
And I can imagine that alone, that really does a lot. And that you see. Because do you have maybe like a case story or a story with an individual that really resonated with you?
Yeah,
of course
like
we have
600 or something like that. But,
we have time, Saskia.
No. Well, a few weeks ago, I walked through the corridor in the office, and there was a student who came by. And I said, "Hey, hi, how are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, can I give you a hug?" And I thought, a hug? Okay, that's not professional one. And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, I finished my project at ITvitae, and my customer offered me a job, and I accepted it, and I found a new house, and I'm just going to start with the rest of my life." And I knew him because I know when he started at ITvitae, his life really was a mess. Didn't finish school. His house was, he was suffering from the surrounding where he lived in, but he couldn't move on because he didn't have money. So he was just going
spiraling down.
Yes. And then he started at ITvitae, learned that what his strengths are, and got self-confidence, and just started with his life. And I'm so proud of him. And he said, "Thank you." And I said, "Why do you say thank you? You just did it yourself."
He did.
Yeah. You did it. We didn't. Yeah. Well, we didn't do nothing. It's not true. But the only thing we do is just make sure that you stand straight up and move on.
Yeah, you kind of put the flag of the ship into the right direction, but then they move it.
Yes. It was his motivation. It's his energy. It's And I'm very, very, very proud of him. Yeah.
And to build the bridge to BrainsFirst, how do you see the missions align? I mean, what we do with BrainsFirst ultimately is also the same mission of just shedding light on the neurodiversity and on the cognitive diversity, and then going the other way around, not trying to fit the individual into an existing system, but trying to, accommodate that the system fits the individual, right?
So, we provide a perspective on someone's key strengths or talents. So, what skills to learn? Talking about school skills, work skills. What specific kind of tasks fit your profile, are very well suited for your brain, but also with respect to the context. So, would you thrive in an open office or not? So, in that sense. to basically shape the context and the talents where you will actually thrive. And I think, especially for school dropouts, we can still advise on, say, estimated educational level, and the specific kind of jobs and tasks that will be suited to your brain. So in that sense, we can help finding the right choices. And I can bridge it to a couple of examples, but I think it's still a bit of a generic approach. Don't want to downtune what we do here, but to make it very specific for a specific group of people, to really tailor it to their needs. That's not what we do. So in that sense, I think I can see synergy here, but to really have the expertise of people that actually know this group of people and what they need, and how to coach them, how to guide them along this way from this kind of spiraling down situation to actually to focus on your talents, to focus on your strengths, to not care that much about what you're not good at or not yet good at. I'm a strong believer. I think you just before we had this chat, like this hockey coach, right?
Yeah.
So I forgot his name.
Jan Lammers.
Jan Lammers,
yes.
You can make. We shouldn't try to make people that score a 6 out of 10 from a 5 out of 10, but focus on the 8s and 9s and boost them. So focus on strengths. Somebody else will always be better than you when you focus on the things you don't have a talent for. So instead of having this kind of full spectrum where you have 20 different things that you should be able to do, 20 different tasks that are part of your job. Focus on 3, maybe 5, where you have a talent, where you're actually great at.
And what you like, because most of the time what you like is also the thing you're good at.
I think that's if you have talent and you like what you do, that's complete synergy.
It's like a motor driving you forward. And I think I see, the similarity I see in the 2 missions of ITvitae and BrainsFirst is also that we have, I think, a large talent pool that is disregarded and excluded by the practices of businesses or society. Like Saskia, we upfront spoke about job interviews. How the way we have these job interviews or hold these job interviews just already excludes a lot of individuals. And I think we see with the practice of looking at just the experience level you have or the CV already exclude certain people because we don't look at their actual talents, right?
Right. And I think to quickly reflect on this, if you look at someone's resume, a CV, then you can only see what someone has done, right? But if you didn't fit in and you're a dropout, or you chose the wrong kind of path for yourself and that's it's put into paper here, right? So you cannot see, I cannot see any talents here on this two-pager in that sense. So you cannot really judge what someone can become in the future. You cannot say anything about talent. If you're if you're 40, 50, 60 years old and you have a thick resume, then definitely it has some merit in predicting what you can do. But if you haven't been employed for a long time, where to start? And that's, I think, the key difficulty here, that we need to look differently, not to past experience, but what it may become if we look differently into the future.
Same counts for us, because most of our candidates used to work in pizza delivery or in the supermarket, but they really are highly intelligent, but you can't see it on the resume. They have talent, but
their resume doesn't have any predictive power of what it can become.
They were not able to show their strengths.
and like connecting it to the future, to get a peek into the future. What emerging trends or future directions do we see, or do you expect to see when it comes to supporting neurodiversity, neurodivergence on this practical level? Like Saskia, do you feel like more companies are becoming open towards practices like becoming more inclusive, becoming more interested, aware, or is it just an illusion that we would like to see in hard words?
To be honest, I hope that a lot of companies will be more neuro-inclusive. But to be really honest, when I take a look at the things that happen in the world right now, in America, big companies stop with diversity and inclusion projects and programs. And I'm very much afraid that this will also be the case in Europe. And that really hits the neurodivergent people really, really hard, because they really cannot do it by themselves.
But from the
they need
standpoint
help.
of labor shortage, that's already like we have massive labor shortage now. So I think to basically have people along the sidelines that are perfectly capable of doing a highly qualified work.
Yeah,
it's a missed opportunity.
It really is. It really is. But what you see in the market is that just a lot of companies keep on looking and searching for the same profile over and over and
Based on
over
resume.
again.
Yeah,
and looking for somebody that looks like you. And I always learned that if you do things the way you used to do, then you get things you used to get.
Right.
So change will never happen. And I strongly believe in the power of diversity in teams. And it's also scientifically proved that if you have a neurodivergency in your team, a neurodiverse team, then your productivity will grow. If we want to take advantage and be a step forward in the world, then you really need neurodivergent people in your company. For instance, suppose you have a cyber attack in your company. I really pray and hope for you that you have somebody in your cyber team which is in the spectrum.
Why is that?
Yeah, because, well, they look differently, they think differently. So if they want to analyze what went wrong, they are able to think the way a hacker does. And most of them can have hyperfocus. So they focus on just one thing and then go on and on and on until it's solved.
For hours?
Yeah. One of the things one of the supporting things our students need, some of them, is somebody that says, okay, that's it for the day. And tomorrow we have a break. So when they work,
should sound lovely for an employer.
Yeah. But we really train our candidates to tell what you need. And one of the things I hear often is that they say, I really need somebody that says to me, okay, quit. Go have something to eat.
Not the job, but
no.
task, right?
Quit with your task. Have something to eat. Have something to drink. do get some sleep, and then tomorrow you go on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because they really are focused and they are so loyal and so eager to add value. Yeah.
So that kind of like this preconception that they go more often on sick leave, that's not true. They are actually more loyal and put in maybe too much time into work.
I think if we stop asking them to meet the standard,
they would exceed the standard?
They would exceed the standard as
Drop the bomb.
Talking about a sick leave. Yes. Yes,
wow.
I really believe that. If you stop forcing them, then you take away stress, and then I don't think they go on a sick leave. I think they go on a sick leave if we keep on asking them to meet our standards and do the things we do and look
shape
to
the
world the way we
context.
look.
Context.
Yeah.
Shape the context, not
Yeah.
the person.
We're on the steering wheel, I
Yeah.
guess, the neurotypical.
Right.
Yeah. I love our conversation. I feel like I'm in a hyper-focus phase.
Sorry.
No, not sorry. Like this is I think what the world needs to hear. Yeah, I love it, but I do think I have a last question for you to kind of wrap up our conversation. What is some impact or some change that you would really like or want to see in society, in businesses moving forward, in empowering neurodivergent individuals?
I really hope that we are able to accept the fact that all brains are different and that we together are able to embrace all the different brains and make use of the advantages and don't focus on the disadvantages. That's what I hope for all those bright people that stand aside and really, really, really want to join.
I love that, Saskia. Thank you. Strong. Yeah.
Well, I think I really feel for bringing this forward, and I think we should focus on qualities. I think we're talking about downsides of neurodivergent people, like if we're talking about ADHD, yeah, in Dutch we call it alle dagen heel druk, joke here. But if you look into when they really have intrinsic motivation, they can go much further. They can go for 12 hours straight, and it's more intrinsically autonomous driven. So if you find what really drives people, how they actually can put their mind, their cognitive abilities to best use, focus on that. Like, it's no wonder that this MIT professor actually has ADHD and is on the spectrum. I think from my background at university, I recognize a lot of neurodivergent people that actually do what they love to do. And then these key qualities surface. And I think I don't want to put specific ordering of these are these key qualities, because even for neurodivergent people, there are many different qualities. Like, what is your interest, right? Are you more maybe the detail, like diving in deep, focusing on detail is one characteristic that probably is a common quality, like in IT systems. Okay, this is the global architecture, and please draw out all the tiny details here for that part of the system would maybe be one thing where you can see a key quality. This key processing, well, the detailed processing of detailed information is something that you read very commonly in the scientific literature.
Strong memory also. But let's be honest, people in the spectrum are no superheroes or something like that.
Rain Man.
No. But just if we focus on the qualities and shape an environment where people can really be themselves, that's the key. Of course, they suffer from their autism. It's not an easy life when your head is always on. And when all social processes take a lot of energy, that's not an easy life. And we can't imagine how it works. But the thing we can do is make sure that people can be themselves.
I think I have one memory of a person that we provided advice, and actually the people around the person, he was on the spectrum, and they were always like, let's try to find a suitable job for this person. But then they really focused on a situation where he would work on his own without this kind of social interaction. And this is actually what he needed in the work, right? So this kind of going deep, going in detail on some subject matter, and then have a social break and to actually talk to people. And if you isolate a person because you expect a person on the spectrum not to be social, not to have communication skills, then actually you mold the job towards what you expect. And this is actually a person that has a great need for social skills.
Yeah.
And then you get the dropout again, right?
Wow.
Because this is, again, from your expectations. We are doing this because we believe that people on the spectrum are like that. And then you lose eye for these individual needs.
Strong. Yeah. Wow. I'm really blown away by our conversation. Thank you, Saskia and Ilja, for shedding so much light on this topic that I think is, Saskia, I also thank you for being realistic with what you see where the future is heading towards and being also critical. But I do see more, I think, awareness and interest in the topic of neurodiversity and neurodivergence. And I thank you both for shedding a lot of light on the topic and providing, I believe, a lot of new perspectives from the science side, but also especially from the practical side of how we do things. I loved our conversation, and I hope you loved it as well. No matter with which lens you tuned in today, maybe you have a lot of empathy for the topics that we touched upon today, and you see yourself in what we spoke about. Maybe you tuned in as an employer and got the new perspective, hey, I need more neurodivergent, neurodiverse people in my team. We hope you take something away from this episode. We would love to see you more frequently on the Neurolympics podcast, so please make sure to subscribe to your favorite platform today. You can find us under www.brainsfirst.com/podcast, and we would also love to see you engaged. So please leave any questions, any comments, remarks that you might have for Saskia, for Ilja. We would love to get in touch with you. Stay happy, stay healthy, everyone, and see you next time on the Neurolympics podcast. Ciao, ciao.